There, guys. And by the way, if you haven't entered Tech TV's Digital Dig Sweepstakes, what are you waiting for, people? We're talking about a $100,000 tech makeover for your house, and I know you need it. I want you to head on over to techtv.com/digitaldigs to find out how to enter, because there are a lot of prizes on the line, and you could win it all. Yes, you. Now, it's been said that the first person to walk on Mars is actually living somewhere in the world right now. We could be up there as early as the year 2015, which is not that far away. But why not get familiar today with what's already planned for the first Mars mission? This is exploremarsnow.org. It is awesome. Basically, what's going on here is they're giving us a preview of the planned space station that's going to be on Mars. Now, it's not there yet, but this is a legitimate planning process of what will be built, and yes, it will be built. It's not too far off. Basically, what I'm looking at right now is an exterior view of the Mars area, the atmosphere, and this space station. Now, you can click around in this main area itself, and it'll kind of tell you what you're looking at. You know, I can click on the stairs to get a little bit closer, or I can just use this column over here on the left side if I wanted to enter the base, for example. I'm going to go through the little door. The little door is going to open. It's supposed to open. Yes, there we go. Now, it kind of looks silly, like, oh, this is, you know, fun animation. But this is honestly based on actual research that's going on with NASA and beyond. For example, you know, how rocks and soil, the samples, you know, a lot of what is going to be interesting about Mars is how things that we're used to are going to be able to thrive there, or if they're going to be able to thrive. For example, proposed greenhouse, you know. We want to know if our vegetation can live and what kind of, you know, contained area it's going to have to be in to live, or will it be able to go beyond that? Personal hygiene is a personal favorite of mine, because personal hygiene is very important, of course, especially on Mars. I love how the door to the toilet is bigger than the door to the shower. Now, this is just not how I would have designed it. It's like camping at this point, but, you know, bunks. People actually have to sleep on in these areas, wardroom, galley, and then there's like the robot rover, which is sort of neat. You know, this sort of outdoor area. You know, if you're going to be on the space station, you're going to be traveling around a bit. And we've had a lot of guests legitimately talk about this stuff on, you know, various shows on Tech TV. This stuff is in production, people. There's a lot to see here, exploremarsnow.org, because it's like, you know, it's not happened yet, but it's going to, and why not check it out, you know? Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's in production. If you're a Mars buff, and who isn't, details are on our site, techtv.com/call for help. Have fun.
No, there are no blue-footed boobies on Mars, however.
Well, then I'm not going. I am not going.
Darn straight. Thank you, sir. That's very cool. I'm very excited about the
It's I mean, especially, you know, for kids and NASA enthusiasts, it's great. I spent a lot of time here. It's really cool.
Very nice. Thank you.
Sure.
Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, turn those thousands of MP3s into an endless stream of music. All you need is an old PC and some freely available software. Roger's going to show you how it's done when Call for Help continues. Stay here. Hello. If you've got an old PC just lying around, why not put it to use as an MP3 jukebox? It's easy to set up and an excellent way to listen to your entire MP3 collection. Roger's been working hard at it. You can buy MP3 standalone jukeboxes, but they're expensive, hundreds of dollars.
$250, upwards of $800, depending on what you get.
Yeah. This is take an old PC, sitting in the closet, and how much of a PC do we need?
You know, I would recommend at least a Pentium 133.
Okay.
If you can find an MMX-based Pentium, you're good as gold.
That's because MP3 players work better at a higher speed processor.
With a higher speed processor, and especially with more full-featured software like Music Match, it requires just a little extra oomph in order to collate. But you don't need anything more than a Pentium 2.
We obviously need a mouse, a keyboard, a screen if you want to control the thing.
Yes, if you want to be able to. And the beauty is that once you have it, you guys still have your CD-ROM. You can still rip music as you go.
Right.
So if
also, it looks like you've got a stereo hooked up.
So, you know, you hook it up to your home stereo and you leave that up. So instead of having a CD carousel, you have your PC.
And if you have a big enough hard drive, you can put a lot on it.
So, you know, if you have maybe a 3 gig hard drive, I recommend buying a 40 or an 80. I mean, they're about $100 roughly.
Right.
And you can cram so much more music on it. I mean, literally, you can have your entire music collection on your hard drive.
If I'm using a pretty old Pentium machine, will I be able to use a larger hard drive like that?
You would probably be able to get away with a 40. Probably an 80, but nothing over 80, because that's when
it gets really tricky.
When the BIOS no longer says, I don't read it.
That's too big for me.
So anything above 80, probably not such a good idea.
Check with the drive manufacturer, too. A lot of times they have software that will trick the BIOS into seeing more. You can always partition it.
You can always partition it, too. In this case, I just have a spare drive that I literally threw into the machine.
And you're going to keep running Windows, huh?
I'm going to keep running Windows. First of all, it's because my music collection's never finished. I'm always buying new CDs.
Right.
I always want to rip them,
right,
but I'm lazy because I don't want to type stuff in. So I want to use CD-DB. I want to get the internet access. I want it to do that for me without me having to worry about it.
And like me, you like Music Match for that application.
I like that.
That's a Windows program.
And if I want, I can actually burn as well.
Right.
And since I'm using 2000, or if you can do this also in XP, I can actually switch user mode. So once I have this all set up, I have my all my music listing out. I can switch to a user mode. Let me go. In this case, I set myself up as a user mode. So let's go to me. Now, you'll notice that I'm not using...
It just launches it right away.
I set it up so it automatically launches into Winamp because I don't want people adding music that I do not want them adding. I just want them to play. If they want to play, that's fine. You know, sister, uncle, mother. But, you know, none of the Shirley Temple music, nothing else that I don't want to listen to. But if I'm concerned that they're going to monkey around in my system, I can lock everything. So I can right-click and I can explore. I set up that, no, I do not.
Oh, they can't get in there.
They can't get in there.
They can't do anything. They can only do music.
My documents
can't do it.
Not do it. All you're going to be stuck with is the Winamp player.
Oh, that's nice.
And they can still use Winamp to its full features. So if I wanted to, I can select more music. For example, let's go. I can select all this as a new track, and then they can save it out.
It's your Christmas collection.
It's actually Ghost in the Shell soundtrack, but now they can save it out. They can save it out as a separate playlist. So this, movie.
Can they turn it off?
All right, all right. You know, I've listened to some of the music. I've heard some of your music. You have no place to
I'd like to hear more of this. Now, one thing we didn't mention, you've got to have a sound card.
You have to have a sound card. Do you have
to have a special good sound card? Or
you don't need a specially good sound card. If you can find a PCI sound card, they're around $20. It's a lot better than one of the old ISO ones, just because it's a faster bus and you tend to get less hiccups when you're doing something.
They're cheap. And then you hook that up to your stereo with you just have a little RCA
cable from Radio Shack, very ubiquitous. And
I should just show people what's on this end. Most stereos require this kind of RCA jack.
RCA
so you'll go to Radio Shack and get that's a mini plug coming out of your
similar to what you would find in your headphone jack that you put into a Walkman or a portable CD player.
That's on the end that goes into the computer.
That goes in the computer out on the back where it's color coded green, and you set up.
Is that the right one?
Nope, phono. Never into phono. Always plug into.
Oh, that's why. Now, why not into the phono?
You're plugging into the. One more over. You're set.
Put it into CD
you don't want
or
phono
aux,
because turntables work at a different impedance than a lot of the other.
I've noticed that. And you get a weird buzz.
You get a weird buzz. Not only is it irritating, it's actually exceptionally irritating. It's probably not good for your equipment if people accidentally crank it up.
Plug it into the CD or the auxiliary jacks.
Auxiliary. If you have an AV receiver, you got literally a stack full of extra jacks. You can use video. As long as it's not the phono, you're set.
Now, I want a piece of advice.
Yes.
You can amplify the music either here in your amplifier or through the computer. What do you recommend setting each amp?
You know what? I actually recommend, it's actually interesting you bring that up. I actually set it a little toward the middle, but below the middle.
You don't want to turn the PC up too high.
No, because some people accidentally, and I've noticed this just as,
a long-time user?
As a long-time user, basically, people tend to just automatically go like this.
Yeah.
And if it's playing and it's set to highs, someone blew out my speakers that way, and I don't want that to happen.
Well, also, the amp in the computer is probably not as good as the amp in your home stereo system, so you might as well have that come out at a kind of lower level and let the home stereo do most of the work. It's going to be a cleaner
especially
sound,
if you're dealing with a crappy sound card, you're actually going to get distortion as you crank it all the way up. So leave it.
You say a little below the middle?
A little below the middle, and then adjust the volume straight to the amp.
Always wanted to know that. I'm glad I asked. So that's it, huh?
That's pretty much it, and then you can listen to, okay, so you don't like my
No,
choice.
Play it, I like it, I like it.
Okay.
I didn't mean to give you a hard time.
Here, I'll select something that